Hey there, it's Jane from the blog chalkingupsuccess.com. Today I'm sharing how to make a Christmas stocking. And this is what you're going to need, although I didn't use the padding. I've pinned my fabric right sides together and I'm just smoothing it out to make sure it's nice and flat. I've left a link in the description to the fabric I've used if you're interested. So now I'm pinning on the pattern. You can either make a pattern from a Christmas stocking that you already have, or you can download my stocking pattern from my free reader library. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. You need to leave about a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around the stocking, and I've already done this. I've included it on my stocking before I cut out the pattern, but if you haven't done it, then you can use a hemming gauge to mark around the stocking afterwards. You can see that I've left a 1/4 inch space here. You can also use a DIY hemming gauge like the one I've got here, and I'll leave a link below to where I've used that in a previous post. And then cut around the stocking pattern and do exactly the same for the outer fabric of your Christmas stocking. And then starting with the fabric that you're going to use on the outside of the stocking, place the stocking pieces together, right sides facing. Smooth out the pieces and make sure that they're really nicely matched together. And then pin them all the way around. And once they're pinned, you can take them to the sewing machine, and leaving the top open, we're going to sew all the way around the stocking. And now we're going to do exactly the same with the lining pieces for the stocking, but this time we're going to add in the hanging loop as well. You can make your hanging loop however long you want. Mine is quite short, but I just want mine to hang on a small hook later, so it'll be fine. I cut my ribbon to roughly 9 centimeters, so about 3.5 inches. So you can see roughly where to add in your ribbon by turning down the cuff of the stocking to where you want it to be later. And then you're going to add the ribbon just where the fold of the cuff is. I've already put a pin in my fabric where I want the ribbon to be, so I'm just going to slip the ribbon just inside the seam here. If I can get the fabric open, that is. You need the looped side of the ribbon to be on the inside of the seam so that when you turn it right side out later, then the loop will be on the outside. So I'm just going to pin it here to make sure it stays in place while I sew it. And then we'll take this one to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance around the edge again, just like we did with the first one. To make sure that the rounded parts of the Christmas stocking stay nicely rounded after sewing, we're going to notch the edges. So by that I mean make small cuts to the fabric edge around the foot section, around all the rounded edges. And you can do this for both the outer and the inner stocking pieces. And be careful not to cut into the stitching when you're cutting the notches. And if by any chance you made a wider hem around your stocking, now is the time to trim it down, because the less bulk inside the stocking, the better it will keep its shape. Now you can turn the Christmas stocking the right way out. And put your hand inside and run one of your fingers tightly around the seam, pushing the fabric out. And then when you've done that, you can press the outer stocking flat with the iron. And then I'm just turning the top edge of the stocking down inside itself about a 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to do the same with the stocking lining, but this time I'm turning it outwards about a 1/4 inch. Then put your hand inside the stocking lining and push it into the outer layer of the stocking. You'll need to match the top and the side seams together. And then just pin the outer and inner stocking pieces together around the top seam. And then we're going to take that over to the sewing machine again. And now I'm just sewing the seams together with a seam allowance of about 1/2 centimeter or 1/8 of an inch. Now we're almost finished. We've done all the sewing. So to make the cuff, I'm just going to turn down the top of the stocking. And once you've done that, put your hand inside again and straighten out the stocking to make sure it's really lined up with the lining. And that's about it. The stocking is just about finished. Once I hung it up, I added a little bow, and what I did was just tie some of the same ribbon that I used for the loop around the loop part and left a long tail for the bow. If you enjoyed learning how to make a Christmas stocking with me and would like more inspirational ideas, then don't forget to give me a thumbs up or a like, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to be notified when I upload a new video. And that's it from me at chalkingupsuccess.com. Happy crafting, and I'll see you next time.